Welcome back, boxing fans. Daniel DuBois recently faced the fight of his life, and the entire boxing world was watching. This wasn't just another match. It was an all-out British battle that had a lot on the line for both fighters' careers. DuBois, the young powerhouse, stepped into the ring with Anthony Joshua, a man who's fallen from the heights of glory and now on a mission to desperately prove he's still got what it takes. With Joshua's reputation hanging on by a thread, the youthful and hungry DuBois cemented himself as Britain's next heavyweight king. This fight wasn't just about titles. It was about survival and who was walking out with their career intact. DuBois is all about bringing the heat. He loves to close the distance fast and unload those heavy shots. His knockout ratio says it all. He's looking to end fights early and in a brutal fashion. DuBois thrives on using his raw strength to overwhelm opponents, hammering them with head and body combinations until they break down. Now, while DuBois doesn't have the technical polish of some of the other fighters, his raw power makes him a serious threat. When DuBois forces his opponents onto the back foot or turns the match into a brawl, he's usually the one coming out on top or having the better exchange. Where DuBois might run into trouble, though, is in the experience department. He hasn't faced the kind of elite-level competition some of his peers have. This could be a huge factor, especially in high-pressure situations in future bouts for heavyweight supremacy. For DuBois, however, having recently faced AJ, the biggest test of his career, rose to the occasion and eventually stopped him by KO. Both fighters had decent conditioning, but stamina was always a detractor for DuBois. While DuBois might have explosive power early on in a fight, when dragged into the later rounds is when you notice his inexperience. He hasn't gone past 10 rounds yet, and how he holds up in the championship round is still unknown. But if he can keep up the pressure, stay relentless, and make it through the early rounds, he could take advantage of a slower opponent and push through the fatigue factor. When it comes to power, DuBois has plenty, as seen in his previous fights with AJ, Filip Hrgovic, Jarrell Miller, and even his questionable loss to Alexander Usyk. DuBois has 21 wins, 20 of them by knockout, proving he can put anyone away with the right shot. DuBois' chin has been tested, most notably against his fight with Hrgovic and Miller. DuBois' plan is simple: close the distance fast and make it ugly. He knows his best chance of winning is by keeping relentless pressure and making his opponent uncomfortable from the get-go. Closing the gap also helps him neutralize any reach disadvantage, allowing him to dictate the pace. He'll usually target the body early, hoping to slow his opponent down and set up those big shots to the head. If DuBois can push forward and land his power punches, he might just shock everyone with a big upset. The Daniel DuBois vs. Anthony Joshua fight was an intriguing clash between youth and experience, as well as power and technique. On paper, Joshua held the advantage with his technical skills and vast experience, while DuBois remained an unpredictable factor. DuBois' raw knockout power and aggressive fighting style was enough to stop the seasoned veteran in Joshua. Many boxing fans even saw glimpses of a prime Mike Tyson in DuBois' boxing style that night. DuBois brought the pressure, making it a rough fight, and eventually managed to land clean, powerful punches, stopping the former unified champion Anthony Joshua. DuBois' current trainer, Kieran Farrell, has always believed that DuBois might be the hardest hitter he's ever trained, and DuBois proved that in his recent victory over AJ. In a crucial matchup, DuBois secured a KO victory in the 5th round, silencing many doubters who questioned his ability to perform on the big stage. This win not only solidified his position in the heavyweight division, but also possibly set up a massive future showdown against the winner of Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk. With Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury initially expected to rematch for all the belts, there had been speculation that DuBois vs. AJ would be for the IBF title, which would later be confirmed to be true. Regardless if it was for a title on the line or not, DuBois focused on making a statement, and he did just that. His ability to wear down and stop a dangerous opponent like he did with Miller, Hrgovic, and now Joshua puts him in a prime position to possibly challenge the winner of Usyk vs. Fury. In DuBois' previous fight against Jarrell Miller, he overcame a tough challenge. Miller faded in the later rounds, and DuBois capitalized on that. Despite that victory, many have still questioned DuBois after his failure to capitalize on knocking down Usyk back in August and his earlier loss to Joe Joyce. But after the KO win against Joshua, any doubts about his potential have been largely erased. Now, with DuBois having defeated Joshua, he has the opportunity to cement himself as a top heavyweight and possibly the next British superstar. His win over Joshua should open up bigger and better opportunities in 2025 and solidify his reputation as a heavyweight champion. This fight is not only a career-defining moment for Dubois, but also a chance to showcase the destructive power that his trainer Farrell has praised so highly. Farrell's work with Dubois came about after Dubois' father noticed the improvement in one of Farrell's amateur fights. Impressed by the transformation, Dubois quickly brought Farrell onto the team. Initially unsure how his energetic and fast-paced style would mesh with Dubois' quiet, focused approach, Farrell soon realized that their partnership was a perfect match. Now, after convincingly defeating AJ, Farrell believes Dubois' full potential is just starting to emerge. At 27, Dubois may have 2 losses, but his 21 wins, including 20 knockouts, demonstrate his undeniable power. Farrell has been particularly impressed with Dubois' ability to mix up his combinations, especially his body shots. He believes that when Dubois lets his hands go, there's no stopping him. Farrell even called Dubois the hardest puncher he has ever trained, a testament to the raw power Dubois brings into the ring. Daniel DuBois is known for his raw power and imposing physical presence, but his boxing style has evolved significantly over recent years, particularly following the losses to Joe Joyce and Alexander Usyk. These defeats, rather than diminishing his reputation, have led to improvements in his technique and adaptability, making him a more dangerous and well-rounded fighter. At the core of Dubois' style is his powerful jab. His jab is not just a rangefinder but a weapon in itself, often used to disrupt his opponent's rhythm and set up his devastating right hand. Over time, Dubois has developed a more refined jab, incorporating it into combinations rather than relying on single punches. His ability to double or even triple up the jab makes it harder for opponents to predict when the right hand will follow. This was especially evident in his win over Filip Hrgovic, where his jab helped control the tempo of the fight before setting up the knockout blow. Dubois' right hand remains his most potent weapon. He has the ability to throw it in different situations, whether as a straight right, a counter, or as part of a combination. His overhand right has been particularly effective when closing the distance, and his cross is a threat at mid-range. Dubois has also worked on adding variety to his right hand, mixing it with uppercuts and hooks, especially when on the inside. His win against Jarrell Miller highlighted his improved ability to throw quick combinations in the pocket, with the right hand consistently being the punch that does the most damage. One of the areas where Dubois has improved significantly is his footwork. In earlier fights, he could sometimes be flat-footed and slow to adjust his positioning. This led to him being vulnerable to counters, as seen in the Joe Joyce fight where Joyce's jab consistently found its mark. However, Dubois has since lightened up on his feet, moving more fluidly around the ring and using lateral movement to avoid staying in his opponent's firing line. Against Hrgovic, his footwork allowed him to circle away from danger and reset his attacks, preventing the fight from becoming a static toe-to-toe slugfest. Dubois has also shown a greater willingness to go to the body, which has been a critical improvement in his game. His body punching, particularly with the left hook and jab to the midsection, has become a key element of his strategy to wear down his opponents. This approach not only weakens his adversary's endurance, but also opens up opportunities to land headshots when they drop their guard, as seen in his fight with Joshua. Defensively, Dubois is still a work in progress. While he has tightened up his guard and made better use of his head movement, he remains somewhat vulnerable to straight punches, particularly the jab. His chin has proven durable, however, anything can happen in the sport of boxing, especially when the heavyweights clash. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below, and as always, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, fight fans,